Good afternoon, I'm Ed Pozzuoli, president of Tripp Scott, and today we're honored to have City Commissioner Robert McKinzie. Many of you may know Robert has been a lifetime resident of Fort Lauderdale, a graduate of St. Thomas Aquinas, and now sitting as a city commissioner in Fort Lauderdale. Commissioner, welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Ed.
Give us a little background of how you became, your ascendancy to being a city commissioner and your involvement in the community before that.
Well, I think most people don't realize that I come from a political background family, a very active family here in Broward County for years. My father being one of the first African-American general contractors here. I, again, born and raised with the St. Anthony, St. Thomas, so I'm very much a part of this community. And right out of the Sistrunk corridor area is where I was pretty much born and raised. And I've been here for 55 years and never had an interest to be the City of Fort Lauderdale Commissioner. It's just that as things played out in Bobby DuBose's career, he left early and needed someone to take his place. I was asked, would I be up to the challenge? And I think that's the vehicle that the Lord placed for me.
Put right.
To start my political career. So I welcomed it, I embraced it. I could have picked a better place, a better group of people to be serving with. I think it's a fantastic commission. And I came in, I hit the ground running, and I'm ready to continue. And if you think about it, I've been there now 2 years and 4 months today, I believe it is.
And so tell me a little bit about that. You mentioned the collegiality among the city commissioners. What are some of the priorities the city has in front of it?
I think one of our biggest priorities right now is obviously our infrastructure, and the challenge with that is trying to get the dollars to pay for it. And we're no different than any other city. When you look at the studies throughout the United States, all of the infrastructures are in its original state, if you would, and is in need of repair. So we're looking now. We're out trying to find those dollars, as you know. The president and the administration up in Washington now are trying to find dollars for this infrastructure. Whether or not we get it, we don't know, but we're going to make sure our lobbyists are there. We just left Washington, D.C. at the National League of Cities, and we sat down with our Senator Bill Nelson. We sat down with Marco Rubio, and we made sure that we had our wish list, if you will, there. And I think our infrastructure was one of our priorities.
Good. Well, let's focus a little bit about the renewal, what I consider to be renewal of the Sistrunk corridor of the city of Fort Lauderdale. There seems to be a greater emphasis on driving business activity and driving real renewal into that area.
I agree with you. I think there is a sense of urgency right now. I think it's a long overdue. If you really think about it, 28, 30 years ago, we decided to tear down a lot of the infrastructure, the businesses that were there, that were striving, to do something better there. And it's been a long time coming. And I think we're now at the tipping point, both with our CRA dollars that will be sunsetting in eight and a half years now. And so we really are in a position now to do something special, to do something exciting. And we welcome the opportunity to redevelop that area. As long as it's smart development, it takes into consideration the historic gym that's there now.
Right.
A lot of people who aren't familiar with Sistrunk, who didn't grow up here or who didn't live in that area, don't understand there's more to that corridor than just that one street that we just put those billions of dollars into. When you turn on the 15th Avenues and the 19th Avenues over to Dorsey Riverbend or Dures, you find a hidden jewel. I mean, you find the North Fork River, you find Dorsey Riverbend, some of the matriarchs and the patriarchs of our city. The city, and they're there. They're still living there, and it's not what you see when you're driving down Sistrunk. You see, why hasn't this place spurred, or why hasn't development come here? But some of the original people are still there, and what we're trying to do now is rebuild what we once had, which is a striving economic engine there in that corridor.
An honor of history plus a look to the future about driving economic growth there, right?
Absolutely. And we really want to make it an entertainment district. We really wanted to really be like it was when I was a little kid. I never had an opportunity as an adult to participate, because by that time all of it was torn down.
Right.
If you think about it, we had a lot of white flight that left the downtown area, moved out west, and we built up the suburbs. But during that same time, we had black flight. People left to find better housing, better jobs, and better opportunities for their families, and it kind of left the corridor, if you will, kind of vulnerable to this type of opportunity, if you will, where no one's coming back to invest in those neighborhoods.
But we are seeing a resurgence of what developers call urban infill in the balance of the city, like off Las Olas, and more people calling home the downtown area of Fort Lauderdale, right?
Yeah, and that's the intent. That was the
Right.
whole purpose of what we did here, was to do that. We created the entertainment district there. We created the Flagler Village, Progresso, and we
Yep.
now have Flagler Village pretty much where we need it. We're now trending over into Progresso, and all of that excitement, all of that, all of those opportunities are now going to spill over into our area. And how that happens is we have to be very careful when we do it, but at the same time we welcome it, and we're ready to go.
Good. And then how you've also you've talked about in the past how public transportation will play into the development, not just of the Sistrunk corridor, but the city in general. How do you see that? You mentioned the wave before. How do you see that unfolding?
Well, I think we've invested. It's been a long time coming, and once you get Brightline up and going, how do we move people back and forth to some of these destinations that we've created? And we're trying to get people out of cars, if you will, because we all acknowledge that we have a traffic problem, and one way of mitigating that or looking at it is by trying to get folks out of cars. And you want these connectors to the seaport, the airport, to our hotels, the beach, to the Sistrunk corridor, Progresso, Flagler, just connectors to get people back and forth. You won't have them in all of the areas that I just mentioned, but we really would like to start with the airport, seaport, and getting folks to downtown.
Well, I wanted to take this opportunity, Commissioner, to thank you for your leadership, your thoughtful view on how the city can renew and develop economic opportunity for all. So thank you so much for spending the time with us.
Thank you, Ed, for having me. It's always a pleasure watching your show, and even when you appear on Sunday mornings with Mr. Putney, I enjoy your views, and thank you for allowing me to come in. But again, I think we're real excited about what's happening in the city of Fort Lauderdale. I'm excited as a District 3 Commissioner as to what's about to happen in my district, and we're going to be watching, and we're going to be playing a very, very important role in how we develop that and how we move forward for all of Fort Lauderdale.
And I think that's a perfect message, and as a Fort Lauderdale resident, thank you again.
Thank you again, and I look forward to seeing you again.
All right.
All right.